Good evening, everybody. Glad to see the meetings being recorded.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Amy. Thanks for being here for sixth grade outdoor ed night. Typically, we do it out here in the core, so it's a little sad that we have to be in a Zoom meeting, but hopefully we can get you all the information that you need about sixth grade outdoor ed. In the chat, the teachers will try to answer any questions that pop up there as we go. And we'll also have a little opportunity at the end to discuss it and have a few questions. Teachers, let's all just go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Chris Kaplinski on the Chris, Matt, Kevin team. I've been teaching in the sixth grade for 20 years and doing the outdoor ed hut trip for about that long as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Matt Fields in the sixth grade. This is my 19th year and I've done the hut trip many, many times and looking forward especially to this year since we didn't get to do it last year.
Hi, I'm Alex Dalton. This will be my first time going on an outdoor ed trip, so I'm really excited for that. And I team teach with Joe Mueller.
And it seems like Joe and Kevin may be having difficulty getting in, so we'll look for them to add in soon.
I'm here.
Oh, sorry, Joe, go ahead.
My camera is not working. It's weird. Because I have it on. You know how sometimes that thing gets in front of it? Nope. Okay. You know what? I'm going to jump off and come back on. Just because it might just be my connection. I'll be back.
All right, so parents, again, thank you for being here. You might be wondering, you know, we have Alex Dalton and Kevin Cronin as new teachers, and so you might be saying, you know, what can I expect as far as them leading trips? We'll get into that a little bit later, but we are going to be having excellent mentors with them who have been on the trip many, many times and who are leaders in their own right. So we will pair a male and female staff member with both Kevin and Alex so that they can get good mentorship and so that your kids will be with leaders who have done the trip many, many times in the past. And so we're in the process of putting that all together. But again, we're really excited because after a COVID hiatus, we are really hopeful that we can pull off sixth grade outdoor ed. Of course, everything is dependent on how COVID goes, but we have been planning with the intent to do the hut trip. Our outdoor ed program, your children will be bringing home a packet that explains quite a lot about it. So in this packet, which you can see the link right here, they should bring it home to you tonight. You can also get it right here. We'll have that on the website available for you. This packet has a letter in it. It has permission slips. It has lists for your clothing on day trips and hut trips alike, and it kind of explains to you the program. We go on 5 training days. Students learn to ski, cross-country ski. You can see the dates up here. So we'll have 5 training days throughout the winter. And that culminates in a 3-day hut trip up on Shrine Mountain Huts off of Vail Pass. So the dates are up here and they're also in the packet that we've sent home. Just so you know, we've been doing this hut trip and the outdoor ed program for a long, long time. Since 1968, the 8th grade program began. It is an expectation of all of our students to participate. We make sure that any student can participate, whether they've never seen snow before or they have a disability, or if they're maybe an expert cross-country skier or telemark skier. It doesn't matter. We all participate in the program together. So it's an expectation and it's part of the curriculum that we're teaching. Both in we integrate a lot of what we're doing here in the class. But we'll be doing quite a bit of reading, writing, discussing on the trips as well, learning on the trips. One thing I want to point out to you is that we have a 6th grade outdoor ed website, and you can get to that on the Aspen Middle School website, but it's also linked here. This gives you more detail than you might need to know about the trip. So you can see this is just the opening page, but if you hover over 6th grade here, we have our safety, leader training, how we prepare, equipment, clothing, trail route and huts, food menus. So just about everything about the trip. If you or your child or both of you would like to look in there, we recommend that you go to this resource.
All right, student provided equipment. Again, in the packet that your student will bring home or has brought home, all of this stuff is detailed. So this slide is essentially a summary of it. We need to be prepared for the winter environment. So that includes wool and synthetic clothing, multiple layers, an waterproof outer layer, sun protection, both for the eyes and skin. And also the student needs to provide a backpack. It's a relatively small backpack, 30 to 50 liters, their own helmet and ski poles. And certainly we have a storehouse of gear that students can borrow if families are having any trouble with those things. Just let their community teacher know, and we can outfit them from the outdoor ed room with the stuff that the student needs to provide. So our first day, our first training day, we call it a shakedown day. And the purpose of this day is to assign the boots and the skis that the school has. We have basically an entire ski shop downstairs in our outdoor ed room filled with, I don't know, close to 100 pairs of skis and boots and skins. And we'll fit the kids into skis and boots. And then the shakedown day is to go out and try it and make sure that they don't get any hot spots, that the bindings are properly fitted, that they start to feel a little bit comfortable on the boots. And then if there's a problem, then we have the opportunity to fix it and change it, get the right size boot, change the ski, adjust the binding, etc. before the next practice day. Here's just a picture of kind of the setup. There's hard plastic telemark boots with telemark bindings. Most of them are cable bindings. Those look actually old. All of the skis now have cable bindings. And the skis are great for this, for the trip and all of the day trips, because they are metal edge skis, but they also have scales on the bottom. So for most of the skiing, all they need is the skis with scales. And then for the hut trip itself, and as we get into the potential for the sugar bowls, the school also has fitting skins for these skis. So here you can just see some pictures of some people practicing. Our first couple days are just, we're so fortunate. Our campus is right on the more open space trails, and we go right out on the Nordic trails. Takes just a few minutes to go outside, and we practice and ski around on the trails and get used to the gear.
Okay, so the second day that we spend learning about telemark and backcountry and cross-country skiing is a scavenger hunt day. This will be the second time the kids are on the skis, and so we'll integrate some learning out there. We'll do some orienteering. We might look in some maps and some apps that help students orient. And they'll go through the more space, learning, getting familiar with their gear, and actually doing a scavenger hunt throughout that day.
Okay, on the prep day on the third trip is the Owl Creek Trail. Hey, I just want to apologize because I don't know why my camera's not working. So I would love to have you guys see my face, but I don't know. It's not working. Okay, so Owl Creek Trail. as you can see from these pictures, we go no matter what the conditions are. Sometimes we need to walk through the mud. This was, I think, what was the bad year? 2019. But what happened right after this is that we got great snow, and then our trips, you know, the huts are so high that we always have great snow up there. So when we do Owl Creek Trail, we travel, we jump on the trail at West Buttermilk, and we ski Owl Creek Trail over to Two Creeks. And at that time, the bus comes and picks us up and takes us back. And it is a good time for the kids to try out their backpacks, because if their brother is 6'2" and they're 5'3", that backpack is not going to work for the brother. So it's just a good time for them to have a little weight in their backpack, see if it really fits, learn how to adjust it. And it's a lovely day. If you want to volunteer for a lovely day, the Owl Creek Trail is terrific, and we need parents on that too. So it's really important to have all the proper gear and hydration. It's necessary for this trip. The kids need the big Nalgene bottles, Nalgene type bottles with the wide mouth. I've actually been on trips where kids had the narrow mouth, and it's been so cold that the top froze and they couldn't get water out of it. Even though it was a big bottle, the small mouth at the top did not work. Packing a healthy lunch is great, very important, and snacks also. No, we ask that you don't send gum or candy or anything like that, but just a healthy lunch. I always go with PBJ. It's just, for some reason on these trips, it really suits me well.
Okay, on the fourth day, we go up to Buttermilk and then partner with Aspen Ski Co. And they actually will teach our students how to telemark. And then we work on attempting a tele turn as well. And this has been a longstanding tradition with Aspen Ski Co. So it's really nice that they're able to help us out with this. And then we have some nice action shots of the kids.
Okay, sugar bowls or Ashcroft. Sugar bowls are up behind, I'm sure a lot of you know this, but they're up West Buttermilk, and behind West Buttermilk, you have to go past the cabin and walk up to the sugar bowls. And if the snow is good, it's a really great day. So we also have our packs on that day. Some kids that have not ever skied and aren't really comfortable in heavy powder, we will take a group up to Ashcroft. We take the bus up to Ashcroft, and then we ski up the road just past the restaurant up there. And that's a lovely trip too. We kind of, when I first started doing this trip, we used to take everybody to the sugar bowls. Oh man, that was something. One time we got maybe 1.5 feet of snow, and there were some kids that hadn't skied a lot, and we were picking up a lot of kids. So we figured it was better to have 2 trips for kids that weren't quite as comfortable, because in sugar bowls, there can be some really deep snow. As when we're going on the hut trip, we have trails that are packed that we are following, and it's not all just pure powder like up at sugar bowls. And here's some great pictures of the sugar bowls. Not a ton of, well, I mean, really nice snow, but not as deep as some of the trips we've had. Oh, and this is Ashcroft. Lovely, lovely day going up there. And before you know it, it's time for the hut trip.
Okay, so the hut trip is a 3-day, 2-night trip. And essentially on day one, we load up all the kids in the gear and the bus and the Suburban, all the food and the pulks to carry the food, and all the parents and the students, make sure we get all the skis and poles and everything on the bus. And we drive up to the top of Vale Pass, which is where the route starts. And we begin our skin up to the Shrine Mountain huts. So you can see there the elevation, which is an important consideration, is at 11,000 feet. The hike up to the hut is around 3 miles, so it's very doable for every 6th grader. There's some that it's, they find it really, really challenging, and some that could do it 2 or 3 times and help each other out. But every year, every kid has made it up there. So it's just a perfect trip for the students, and also very scenic and a special place. Here's the 2 huts. There's Chuck's hut on the left and Jay's hut on the right. And so when you think of a hut, it's a bit of a misnomer. These are very, very beautiful cabins in the woods. And we're really lucky that the 10th Mountain Division works with us every year to get our reservations and prioritizes our experience up there.
Boys will be in one hut and girls will be in the other hut. So when we're up at the hut, it's full on outdoor ed philosophy. So learn by doing, being involved, and we'll talk and prepare the students a lot leading up to the hut trip. But they'll be in work groups where they cook and clean and get wood and start fires and do the chores that are necessary to make the trip run. We have them cook their own dinner, and then we eat together. And then after dinner, we usually do a circle up. As well, you can see there is plenty of time at the huts in between. Our second day, we go up and summit Shrine Mountain. So we're out in the field for at least half the day, maybe 2/3 of the day, but then we still have quite a bit of time for both learning and having some fun in the huts. You can see these kids all stacked up in here in the girls' hut.
Hut school. So we're so lucky that we get to do this trip, and it is experience, and it is about learning out in the environment, but we do incorporate some reading and writing and discussing and snow science. So there will be specific slotted times for journaling with certain prompts, and then using those prompts depending on the leader during the circle up at night. So they're thinking about their day, what they saw, what they observed in the winter environment, how they felt, how other people treated them, and kind of keeping track of this experience by writing it down and sharing it. Again, each night we will do a circle up, which is a great time. We kind of do circle ups every day in school and community, but this is way more intimate, and the kids really get to know each other well and be able to share about what their experience is and get feedback and learn to listen to each other and grow from the experience. It's a outdoor ed philosophy going back, back to 1968. Additionally, we do some snow science up there. Often leaders will bring some avalanche gear just to build awareness, maybe a pro pole and some beacons, and have them go out and practice and realize how challenging this would be in a real event. And most years we also dig a big snow pit and realize how deep the snow is and check out the layers, what the weak layers are, where the strong layers are, and just some awareness about being in the backcountry. We'll talk about later that the route is perfectly safe, but we still want kids to be aware living in Aspen about the choices they might make when they get older. So building that foundation early on about being safe in the backcountry.
As with anything, we like to have a balance between doing our schoolwork, taking care of chores, and upkeep with the huts. We also want to include a lot of playtime and just time for the kids to have fun. And so this can look like a lot of things outside, anything in the snow, building snow village, snow angels, all of that. One thing that that is discouraged is creating snow tunnels. Because then when the next group comes, they could fall into that pit. And Miss Mueller could tell us a story that has in fact happened to her. So some of those things, that we just want to avoid as safety precautions. And then as with anything, we try to be very inclusive, and in any games that we're playing, if it's inside, that'll look like a lot of card games, playing spoons, but just providing an opportunity for every student to have an enjoyable time. And there is also a sauna as well at the huts.
Okay, hut day 2. It's our time to summit on Shrine Mountain. So we have a great sleep. We get up, we make a great breakfast on our first morning there, and we get all our lunches packed. We drop off the big heavy gear out of our backpacks, and we're just going to take light stuff because we're going up above 12,000 feet to the summit of Shrine Mountain. We have the path that we go up has been marked by experts. So like the other teachers have said, we are never in any avalanche areas at all. And like I said, we've had experts help do our routes up there, so we know exactly how safe they are. And here's just pictures of how much snow we can get up there. I've been up there where it snowed 2 feet in one night. In fact, it snowed so much that the person that was taking us out took us the wrong way, and we ended up in a powder time. It was really fun. But and then you can see the blue skies. A lot of times we'll have just beautiful blue skies way up on top of that shrine summit.
And then unfortunately it's time to go. And we try to be the best stewards of the huts that we can be. We have a really good reputation of leaving the huts in better shape than we found them, so that we will be invited back. So kids will do a major hut sweep and clean and pack up all their gear, and then we get to ski back down, or have to ski back down to the buses at the top of Vail Pass and come back to school.
All right, so on that note, with this trip, again, we want to emphasize that all of us who have been going on the trip and leading the trip for a long time, we have gone through a lot of certifications to get to the point where we lead this trip. So there'll be someone on the trip with a wilderness first responder, woofer. There'll be someone on the trip who's most likely gone through Avalanche 1 training, and it'll be someone on the trip who's probably gone when we assessed the route with Colorado Avalanche Information Center, or back in the day, Ski Patrol went with us. So the route has been assessed many times, and we've been trained. And on each trip, we'll be insistent that safety is number one, and there will be trained people leading that trip. So we have an agreement that went home in the packet for you to talk about with your child and sign. One thing that we take really seriously is the preventative part here. And so we have very hard, fast rules, like having your slippers on in the hut, because believe it or not, the number one danger here is going to be a splinter in the foot. but also just knowing that those rules are there for the kid's safety. So if a kid chooses to jump out of the third floor window of the hut into the snow, bad choice, you're going home. Or any of the other rules that we put in place that are kind of non-negotiable for their safety. So we ask that you sign this agreement that you are available if a student has to be removed for safety reasons to come up and get them. Right. I can't see who.
And this is volunteering. And so this is what we need for our practice days. So guys, we can't do this without parent volunteers. You are so necessary. We have to have help. So on practice days, we need help with boot and gear fitting, gear check with students, make sure that they have water, sunglasses, sunscreen, etc. I now check to make sure that they not only have their water bottle, but there's water in their water bottle. Because believe it or not, I've had kids go, yeah, I got water, and they didn't fill it up. So you could help with cross-country skiing between the groups, manning the scavenger hunt stations, individual student support. Sometimes we just need, a kid just needs an adult to hang with them and make them feel comfortable. Also gear repair in the field. Duct tape is our friend. The gear that is necessary for you to bring is cross-country skis for a scavenger hunt in Owl Creek, skis and a ski pass for Buttermilk, and AT gear setup and a ski pass for Sugar Bowls. And then the next pages are some of the volunteer pictures with parents helping out. Okay, and more volunteering, food shopping, organizing the sled. We have 3 sleds. One sled is for the boys' hut, one sled is for the girls' hut, and then the third sled is for all the other odds and ends that we have. Then loading gear and picking up any last minute items we forgot. If you come on the hut trip, driving the Aspen School District Suburban to Bale Pass with the gear, gear check with students, again, water, sunglasses, sunscreen, individual student group support, gear repair in the field, pulling a sled of food to the hut. We now take 3 sleds, and it's much easier to pull when we have 3 sleds to even out the weight. Also, there's overseeing of students cooking and cleaning the hut, and you have to be a willing participant in the circle up in the reflection, which is actually, it's one of the coolest times of the hut trip is the circle ups. Gear knowledge that is necessary is AT ski setup, backcountry experience, medical background, EMT, woofer. I know that one of my number one things when I have parent volunteers is that I look for people that have some kind of first aid background.
Yeah, and so if you're interested, we encourage you to fill out the volunteer Google Forms link on here, and then we'll get back to you if you can volunteer. Another thing about the hut trip is we do a really good job in outdoor education of making sure that we're away from our technology. The unfortunate truth of our world is that some places that used to have no cell service now have cell service. This is one of them, and so we're asking students not to take that technology, but also if you're considering volunteering, ask yourself, can I be away from that cell phone for 3 days? Can I power it down, put it in the pocket outside of maybe a check home or something like that?
There's the sled. They're really fun to pull. Like I said, we balance those sleds out so they're not quite as heavy as they used to be. We used to only take 2 sleds.
Okay, so I think this is me, a few winter safety tips. Again, we're gonna have a lot of time to teach the children how to do this, but layering in their clothing, look through those lists that we sent home. There's 2 separate lists. One is for day trips. The other is for the hut trip. But what the children are wearing each day is really important. So if you only have cotton clothing, that's all right. Reach out to us so that we can get you some wool or some polypropylene or whatever is appropriate. But we need good layers of synthetic clothing. The avalanche awareness we'll be teaching the kids, and you should rest assured that we have had training and the route has been assessed. So we'll be going nowhere near avalanche terrain in this trip or the day trips. And then the best first aid up there is drinking water, eating, talking to students about going to the bathroom. When they're on trips, sometimes short trip, students don't feel comfortable, so they hold it. Bad idea. So all those preventative things, eating, drinking, going to the bathroom, are super important. If your child takes medication, we'll run all that medication through the nurse's office. So that has to be filled out in forms, and then the nurse gives it to the trip leader, and the trip leader will administer it to the kids. So you should not just send your child with some Benadryl or some Advil or anything like that. That should all go directly through your child's leader. And first to the Aspen School District Nurse's Office. So with that, we've linked the website that we talked about and the parent packet that we sent home with your children today. And we wonder if you might have any questions.
I have a question. The parents who volunteer to pull the sled, do they stay there the 3 days or head back and then come back again to pick it up?
Good question. They stay. And so if you're volunteering for the hut trip, you're volunteering for the 3 days. And again, we can take 1 or 2 moms or dads in the girls' hut and the boys' hut.
Okay, thank you.
And is that like moms in the girls' hut and dads in the boys' hut, or how does that work?
Preferably, sometimes we've had to have, sometimes we've had to have an exception to that, but preferably, yes.
Okay, thanks.
And is it just one class going at a